So maybe it is 5 minutes after the hour, so we'll get started, but maybe I'll save the new items for the last just because it'll give other people more time to show up in case they do. And I'll cover maybe the more the updates status ones first. Um, so we'll start out maybe a little bit more status. Okay, so status on P4 ecosystem lead. We've had over 30 applicants. We've finished a first round of interviews. 7 or 8 people, I'm not sure. And then very soon, I've finally given my reviews to Michelle today, and she'll pass on the list of top 3 candidates for the governance board to interview. I don't know if there's any other thing to say there other than hopefully within another couple weeks, the governance board will have a chance to interview those 3 and make their decision. Anything else I'm missing there, Michelle or Denise?
No, looks good.
I will say that, we had some really strong candidates, and I'm looking forward to working with whoever's chosen. Let's see. Brian, I might save yours for a little bit later too, in case more people show up, and I'll just do the more boring like status items. Come back to you in a moment. Google Summer of Code, I think, is pretty much wrapped up for this year. There was the wrap-up meeting held on September 17th. And somebody did thank you for putting the link to the video. Um, so yeah, go watch that if you're curious what folks did. I know that 1 or 2 of them might still be wrapping up, working on getting like pull requests approved and merged in, but lots of good work done there. So thanks again to Billy Dong and David Scano and all the other mentors and the contributors for their work over the summer on that. Any updates? Oh, I think maybe Billy might have sent me a status update. Anything you know of off the top of your head, David?
Yeah, I read the email from Billy. So basically, he said just what you said. So the Google Summer of Code ended for this year, and then we're looking forward for next year, basically.
Any indications yet of whether any of the summer contributors might be interested in continuing on doing P4 development work, or that's too early to tell?
I don't know, to be honest.
Okay. I mean, it's good that the ones that haven't finished the pull requests are following through on getting
Mhm.
I know the one on the behavioral model changes for the all the different following all the different branches of an action selector is still working through the pull request process. So it's good to see they haven't abandoned that and they're continuing on. So that's good to see.
Yeah.
Hope that gets in soon. The 2025, sorry, P4 workshop is imminent, October 13th, now only 10 days away. Um, So yes, Fernando Ramos the program committee chair, has made all the decisions a while ago, sent out the notice of acceptances. We have one demo that's going to be at the booth that P4 has during all 3 days, Tuesday through Thursday of the summit. Monday is the afternoon P4 workshop. We've got a good, strong, I believe we've got all the publicity out for all the talks now, I think, or at least titles and speakers,
Right.
and maybe some abstracts. And the recordings many of them are scheduled, I think, for the ones that won't be live.
We're all done on the recordings.
Oh,
There's 8 recorded talks, and we only have one more to go to record, so we're in good
great.
shape.
Awesome, awesome. Good to know. Let's see. I don't know anything more to say about that other than check out the existing publicity on it. And if you want to attend live, the register for OCB Global if you don't have your registration already. And if you're not able to attend live, then we will still have, I think, all of the recordings of all the live talks, as well as the offline talks will all be published with links to them afterwards on p4.org and announced in email. So you can still see the talks. You won't get the hallway track, and you won't get the t-shirts. If you get
Right.
there live, you get there soon enough, you get a t-shirt. All right. Anything else, other updates on the workshop? I know Fernando will be there live. We'll have several people, introducing the talks. There'll be, I guess all the other arrangements are mostly done by OCP for us, all the local arrangements, so that's good. Let's see, P4 Developer Days. I know that there's still a schedule of a couple of talks per month still coming up for all the way through January, I think now.
Yep. We've
All
got
right,
a pretty full agenda, and David is continuing to solicit more speakers. So there's more in the queue, getting ready to commit to a date and so forth. So I think we're in really good shape.
great. Thanks again, David. Really, really great to see all that activity there. Let's see. I know we did have some activity. Denise attended the last language design work group meeting and solicited some ideas from I think the chairs and the members there. I guess the API work group was still hoping to get some list of ideas as well to add to updates there.
Right.
Is that
This is
that
still in
right?
progress. We're still not quite
Yeah.
there yet.
Yep. Yep. On a related topic, yeah, I'm still looking to find. I need to ping somebody at Cisco that might be able to write a blog, especially given that the workshop is coming up soon. They might actually want a blog timed semi near the workshop, but it might come out later rather than before. If it comes, if that's arranged, it's most likely to be ready afterwards, not before.
Great.
About that,
Let me,
I
yeah,
was thinking about if for you makes sense to have a kind of uh, end of the year wrap up, because I, let's say, realized that this year a lot of targets for P4 were announced and on the market. So maybe makes sense to have a blog article or something like that, a sort of wrap up of the year, and that says the activities that we did, and also shows the target available in the market in this year. I don't know if it makes sense, which is your
yeah.
point of view of that, but
No,
seems,
I
I
think
mean,
that's a
for me,
great.
it's a big number because we have the X-Sites announcement, AMD, Intel, and then the uh, Trismart NIC made by Altera. So it's
Yeah.
a remarkable number, I would say that.
No, I definitely think that's a great idea, and whether that either it would be good for its own separate blog from the working group updates, probably sounds like it has enough material that could stand on its own. If
Mhm.
you're willing to start putting something together and put it out for review and additions, that'd be great.
Yeah, I can do that. Maybe we can discuss offline, Denise, and who want to, let's say, review and then see which path to follow, let's say. Uh, but okay, I can do
Sure.
that.
And I mean,
Outline
if we
it to
could,
feed maybe, and then I can send you a link and we can start to just work on the outline and then together kind of figure out who to go to get the content.
Hmm. Okay.
I mean, certainly we can include like links to public announcements that are out
Right.
there already.
Yeah, yeah.
And but always nice if we can get like a quote from somebody at the vendor to add to it. Is always good, and they might be interested in doing that.
Yeah.
Great, thanks. So let me see. Let me go back to the beginning then. Um, so there's this. So we've been contacted several folks in the TST, I think, and Michelle have been contacted about a group in India interested in P4 and promoting it there. Michelle, if can you update us on what they've been asking about or what they'd like to do?
I think that they want to try to, host some P4 community events and just continue to build the P4 awareness in India. It looks like a couple of the companies out there have some like training programs that are based on P4, and they want to, work with us to continue to grow that. So it's not the first request we've received. And back when P4 was with ONF, we had an ambassador program for all of the projects that seemed pretty productive and was great at, helping grow community in geographical areas we might not have a big presence. And so the thought with this is maybe it's a good time to restart, or I should say just start a P4 ambassador program to empower these folks and anybody else who's interested and help, give them a little bit more formal support as well as some swag or badges or other things to kind of um, help thank them for the work they're doing on behalf of the community. So Phenos is another LF project that has a pretty robust ambassador program. I just put the link in there because I think they do a great job of outlining exactly what that means. Theirs is a little bit more in depth. They have more funding for it, so there's it's a little bit more robust, I should say. And I think at least initially, we will probably be looking to do something that's a little bit of a lighter lift until it gains momentum or it makes sense or we have more budget, any of those things. But essentially, it would be just being able to have people apply to be an ambassador, agree to code of conduct and framework around the mission of the ambassador program. We can talk with the governing board about setting aside some funds for like travel stipends or event support or swag that we can send for different events. That would be a governing board call. But it would really just kind of help empower some of the folks who are already doing some pretty good work in the community. So throwing that out there for discussion. Let me know what y'all think.
So, for example, I mean, things that like I think you've mentioned some things that don't necessarily require a large budget, um, which is like starting small is a good thing budget-wise, I think, and see how it goes. Um, would it involve things like maybe having a link on p4.org to some site where they publicize their local events as
We would,
well, promotionally?
yeah, we would be able to give them, and that's the other piece, right? Like we have to be careful about how the P4 trademark is used. Like they can't put on a P4 workshop India because it's not being run by us, and that's a trademark infringement. But if they're talking about doing like a P4 ambassador meetup in India and we've recognized them as ambassadors, that not only lends some credibility, but it also like protects our trademark. So that's kind of the drive behind this is like, if this is an easy way to recognize them and protect our trademark instead of having
Okay.
to be like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. Like it's giving folks an avenue to be advocates without a whole lot of legwork.
So the ambassador program allows them some kind of limited use of p4.org's name in publicity.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it gives them some guidelines and some boundaries that there's a code of conduct. There's, if they want to do like a meetup, they can do that, but it does need to adhere to, the standard LF event requirements, which are pretty lightweight for community events. Um, so it kind of it brings them in and gets it so that we don't have folks just doing kind of their own thing and using P4 as a in whatever way they want. It just brings a framework to it all.
Is it something where we would ask that maybe some representative of that group come and talk to the TST about what they're working on occasionally, maybe, and just for better communication and update on what they're doing?
Yeah, I think depending on the number of folks who join, right, we could do at least quarterly meetings with as many as we can get together in a Zoom, right? I know time zones are tough, but
Yeah.
quarterly meetings, just ambassadors, and then, anyone else is invited to join. And then it would be great if ambassadors would, as time permitting on the agenda, were able to join this meeting periodically and provide just an update on kind of the work they're doing in their part of the world.
I think so. Are there existing groups that you think we would reach out to and invite them to join this program if we created it, like Japan, I think, or Korea or others?
Japan has a user group that has done P4 events in the past that has also kind of been just doing their own thing. So that would be great to be able to get them in this program. David has been doing the Lord's work with all of the developer days. It would be great to get him some recognition and some thanks and some swag and things like that. So I think Billy has been doing a ton of work with the Google Summer of Code, like all these folks who have been just doing a lot of work on behind the scenes or for no necessarily affiliation with the governing board or the TSC. Like I think this is a potential option to um, empower them and say a little bit of thanks as well.
Any other folks have any questions or comments? I think it seems like a good idea to, like I say, starting with a small budget seems better than starting with a zero budget or a big one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think things like we can some of the budget stuff is lightweight, right? Like being able to offer free pass to the P4 workshop, even if you're not speaking or not a part of it in another way. That's a very easy budget lift on our side. Being able to put together some swag packages is also pretty lightweight. Finos does a Credly badge program, which I'd have to look into. I'm not sure what that would cost, but I also have the impression that that's a little bit lighter weight on the budget side. So I think there's several things that we can do with a pretty limited budget, at least to start, and then we can always add more, get feedback, and change the benefits as the program grows.
I guess sort of baseline minimal budget swag is the stickers. I guess those are nice and cheap.
Yeah, stickers are cheap. Maybe a t-shirt or I don't know. We can definitely look. We can send out a little bit of a survey maybe and get some feedback because I know there was like one year we sent t-shirts around the world and it was ridiculous to ship them everywhere to all the ambassadors.
Yeah.
Granted this was like pre-COVID and things were a
I
little
mean,
bit different, but it's, there's
I mean, I
still
mean,
better
another
options.
possibility of swag is like giving them permission to use the design on t-shirts that they print up themselves.
Yeah, potentially. So
That's one possibility, I guess.
yeah, we also have services now like Spreadshirt where like you can set up a store that has the logo on a bunch of different items and then they can pick which one they want and it ships to them and it's a little bit better. It gives more options. So
Right.
we can look into that and see, but I'd like to say if this group sounds like this is a go, there will need to be a little bit of help. I can draft together like all the parameters and everything for it. I'll need a couple of eyes from the TST just to review that and give me feedback. And then it would be great if the TST can also just be aware of like pulling ambassadors in for updates for this meeting, or inviting them to attend this meeting and do updates occasionally and help me with that.
Right. Yeah, if you could include that on a list of sort of kind of like, obligations or time commitments going forward on our side. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe
so, yeah,
David can
I guess
also help
budget
with
for the
that.
governance
And
board and then like ongoing time commitments or responsibilities that we would see for our group, just to list them
yeah, I
out.
don't think it would be much, but like it'd just be more of
Yeah.
incorporating it into the agenda on a
Yeah.
quarterly basis or something like that.
Yeah, I don't see it as a lot. It might be nice just to see them all listed out so that the TST can ask questions about what does that involve and whether they
Mm-hmm.
want to volunteer for which things they want to volunteer for.
Yeah. Um, if that works, then we can also add an agenda item to the next board meeting to talk about what the budget would be for this. And I can look into some of the items like the Credly badges and get a little bit more of a ballpark figure of what would be recommended, at least for like the initial first year.
So I know we don't really have a TST quorum today, but uh, it sounds like a good thing to go forward with to me, and at least with the things we mentioned of going to the governance board and asking and creating a list of responsibilities for the TST.
Yeah, I'll add this to the agenda for the joint meeting since we will have
Yep.
quorum for both at that, and we can discuss further there.
Sounds good.
Anyone else have any questions or feedback about a P4 ambassador program?
No, sounds good.
Okay. Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah.
Another idea that's come up and added the agenda, whether we would like to have a working group focused on AI/ML and especially its impact on computer networking, of course. I mean, I'm definitely aware of, there's proprietary work going on at companies like NVIDIA and Cisco and Pensando and Google and probably every company that every company that operates their own network and buys large numbers of GPUs has got some people working on this problem. And there's also a lot of published research papers on this topic as well. I'm not an expert on the field of what's been published, but I know a few things in that area. And then there's, of course, the Ultra Ethernet Consortium is a group of companies kind of, joining together to kind of put up proposed standards to kind of as an alternative for NVIDIA's technology in some cases to try to be able to sell more products in that area themselves. So very hot topic, a lot going on. There's probably a lot more, proprietary stuff than there is. I don't know. There's a lot of public stuff. There's a lot of proprietary stuff. Of course, the working group would probably have to focus on the either the things that are already public or the things that we can convince companies to make public. But given how competitive it is, I'm just trying to set expectations. My guess is it might be difficult to get companies to announce things other than product announcements. But there's plenty of public research on this area too that would be good topic, I think, for discussion. The main topic is the main thing is if we wanted to have a work group on this, we would need somebody, one or two somebody's volunteering to lead it and promote it and sort of come up with the agendas and the find speakers, topics for discussion, and things like that. So just wanted to put the idea out there for discussion, thoughts, other ideas that maybe aren't mentioned here.
And did you contact Chris about that? Because I know that Chris Summer, because he's involved in one of the working group of Ultra Ethernet, maybe could.
I haven't contacted him about it.
Because could be a interesting hook from us. If I saw it on LinkedIn, and if I remember well, it says something about it also in the API working group.
Yep.
So maybe it can help.
Yep. Good thought. Yeah. Anybody that you think might be is especially interested in the topic and might be willing to organize such a thing, definitely good to pick their brain.
Hari, are you volunteering to lead it, or did you have a question?
I had a hand raised to ask.
Oh, sorry. I didn't notice the hand. I wasn't looking at the hand raising.
So,
Thank you for noticing.
so I think my concern stems from the fact that P4 mostly has been networking forwarding data plane, i.e. a switch thing, right? And even in the NIC context, most of the work has focused on just forwarding, or anytime we've tried to do these sort of things, we've said, oh, let's just add a block and just just define the API, right, and let people implement it. My worry with this kind of an approach is that it will quickly become an extern that we simply add to the language, and that companies will keep doing what they do under the blanket of that extern and just say, hey, we support this. I'm not sure that is valuable enough. I'm not sure because I think until we switch from the mode of actually thinking about how we might, because most of these problems are around bulk data transfer, and until we think about how we address that, right, I don't know how, I don't know what we would do in a working group. That's because
Sure.
obviously vendors are not going to reveal their secret sauce, and P4 can't offer anything more than just an extra. At least that's my sense.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I mean, I agree with you completely, and that was, yeah, part of the reason I tried to, uh, you know, put out that while there's a lot of proprietary work going on, it's likely to remain proprietary for some time to come.
Right.
well,
And
maybe
so,
working group isn't the right thing to call it then. Like, I think this, figuring out how to position P4 with AI and ML is one of the goals of the governing board for 2026. And, everyone, when it was added to the list, was like, we don't really know how to do this yet, but we do think that it should be a priority and there should be conversations about it to try to figure out how to best position P4 in this with everything that's going on. So maybe it's not a new working group, but something to kind of drive that goal forward and to talk about how P4 can fit or position with or with AI is kind of the goal. And I had just suggested a working group as a way to kind of have designated, dedicated time to that conversation.
Yeah, I think we should probably have this conversation in depth more. But I think it's not a bad idea to start looking at it, but it's also important to know what the constraints are and where we want to spend our time. I need, sorry folks, I need to run. I have a different meeting as well. Sorry. Good talking to you guys. I think Andy, I think we can probably chat offline about
yeah, yeah,
this.
yeah. No, I mean, good feedback.
Okay. Thank you everyone.
Yep. Thanks,
All
Rick.
right.
I can add something else, Andy, about that.
Sure.
So, other people that you might involve to this brainstorming, I saw that X sites claim that the uh, X2 chipset is compatible with Ultra Ethernet. So might also, I mean, due to their friends, they might give us insights. And then food for thoughts. I don't know if you saw the Ultra Ethernet presentation made by in HOTI, Host Interconnection Conference. Uh, a professor from ATH made a presentation and is the only professor, I mean, is the only academic partner of, I can give you the name and the link. And he is the only academic partner of the consortium. So might be, let's say, also uh, a way to dip our toes in AI. I mean, passing by the um, academics that are involved in uh, ultra Ethernet. I mean, for example, an example that I read about it is that they decide to implement packet trimming. Is not clear to me. I mean, I don't have a deep understanding of it, but it's something that is coming from academia, and they involve people that define it. So could be maybe a feature that for us is how can I say interesting to understand, that maybe fits and could be a starting point, and it's also slightly open respect
Yes.
to what they doing in the, I mean, what the vendor doing.
Yep. That's a good, good
uh,
lead there.
I mean,
You,
giving you
you,
the
any professor is going to be able to publish at least some things, if not everything. Yep. Thanks for those leads. I'll
giving
write
you
them
the
down.
link. Let me check.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I don't know if you have permission to edit this document, but if you want it, you're welcome to do so. But if you put it in chat, I'll add it.
Okay. Yeah, give me 1 second because I have to put the
Yeah,
right keyword to.
Yeah, no rush. You can send it to me after the meeting too if you can't find it during the meeting.
Okay.
No worries.
Yeah. So I'm going to send you later, maybe.
That's fine. Yep. Thank you. No, those are good leads, and yeah, I know that Cisco is interested in packet trimming as a feature for its current switches, so among other things, but at least that's one that's usually pretty easy for switches to do.
Yeah, this is the vibe that I get, but I didn't went in depth, so
Yep.
it's kind of
I mean,
gut
usually
feeling.
the example, the public research I've seen on, I mean, this proposal I think has been around for at least 5 to 10 years, and some published research older, where basically the transport protocols, it's sort of like explicit congestion notification. Instead of marking a bit in the packet, you maybe mark a bit in the header and trim its payload, and then the receiver transport protocol is designed to know that at least it gets a signal instead of nothing, and it can react faster to congestion than if you drop the packet. And bandwidth wise, it's almost the same effect as dropping the packet. Cool. All right. Yeah, please send me that link after the meeting and I'll add it to the notes. And
Yeah,
we can...
I'm getting there. Sorry, but
Oh yeah. No, it's okay if it's after the meeting. No rush now. Let's see. I wanted to, I think, come back to Brian. Save the best for last. Brian, I know you've been, I've seen your activity on GitHub this past month. Thanks for your work there. I don't know if you wanted to maybe briefly summarize some of the things you've been working on or things you're hoping to work on next. Oh, you might be muted.
Sorry. Yeah, briefly, the thing I was working on was updating CI. But I turns out it basically already had been updated. I sort of had a different idea about what the task was. But basically everything is already using Ubuntu 22, and there's one job that's using Ubuntu 24, the latest one, but that's basically what Fabian wants. And I think it makes sense. That's fine. And in 2 years, we can sort of, look at that again differently if we want to, unless you have thoughts, Andy.
One question I had is you mentioned everything's using Ubuntu 22 or 24. Is everything
Yeah.
also using 24 yet?
No, there's not like complete parity of all
Okay.
jobs, and that's because it would create, well, Fabian's rationale was that would create a lot of jobs, and there are limits. There's both limits to
Sure.
there's limits to how many workflows you can have running in parallel, and if you suddenly had a lot of PRs coming, that would be a lot of
Sure.
jobs getting used up. So it's
And
not
I think
it's not parallelized yet.
So I think I've heard that you probably had some discussion about whether whether a weekly or a nightly makes sense for a longer list of tests.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think
I think
that seems
I
potentially
agree. I think
useful.
that would be useful, but I just sort of decided that, well, at least we're caught up. There's nothing
Yep.
on outdated, out of service Ubuntu versions anymore. And for me, it's still valuable, but I think that maybe doing the other stuff is more valuable.
Sure.
That was sort of my main look at it. Like, okay, at least we're good. We're good for 2 years, unless on a supported version of Ubuntu, and
Yep.
getting the packaging going seemed
That would
like a
also be
juicy
exciting.
target.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that does sound
exactly.
like a very exciting thing to have, and would love to test out anything you come up with.
So basically, I just started working on that today, sort of getting up to speed on the Debian packaging, what's there, and it sounds like Debian has a new way of doing things every 5 years, which is totally appropriate for a project of that size. So I was just looking at, like, there's some cool new ways of building packages based on the upstream Git repos, and then there's questions about do we well, yeah, just figuring that out and seeing what the best way forward is and putting something together.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned this before, but just as a reminder, yeah, I believe some of the Ubuntu packages, some of they include a lot of like uh, package installed Python packages as well, I think, in system-wide
Okay.
directories. I don't recall exactly the details of what those, I mean, it's been a couple of years. It's been a couple of years since they'd updated, and I kept testing them for about a year, but I haven't used them in about a year. So I've forgotten exactly what's there. But I remember when they were created, I had several rounds of conversation with the person saying, "Oh, I tried this test that involved this Python package and it failed," and they kept tweaking it until those tests passed. So that since there's so much of our, like the P4C tests and a lot of the other GitHub repositories that we have involve Python in the testing or the actual live use of the product, it's definitely important to think about how to structure that in any um, pre-installed binary kind of package thing. And I don't have an idea for the best approach other than maybe, a Python virtual environment might make sense in installing those going forward, just because I know Ubuntu with 2404 started making it such that you can't do like sudo pip install to system-wide directories without adding some scary disabling warning command line option
Yeah.
because of conflicts that often
Yeah.
happen there. And so
Yeah.
I've
So
been
are
using Python virtual environments for a while now.
yeah. Um, some of that went over my head, like but I my background knowledge is that Python packaging is sort of can be really tricky.
Yep.
And then I know that you're using Python for um, the like running tests, or I'm not sure how much is needed for just like if you just are using the compiler as a compiler to do things. Is there like Python dependencies there, or is
So,
it sort of the meta?
so so if you don't mind me, I can take maybe a minute or two to describe. So I think I sent you a link to some install script, this big long bash script that I've kind of cobbled together and maintained over years.
Yes, I know you mentioned
Effective,
that, and I think I did have a link for it somewhere, but
and
you can
if you look at
certainly.
that and you think it looks like a mess, I will agree with you. I will not argue against you. It's a mess. It is a mess. It's basically just cobbled together, and uh, it's not based on deep knowledge of how to build each of those things. It started from following the readmes of all these 4 or 5 different repositories and trying
Yeah,
things out until I could get them all to install in the same system without stepping on each other's toes. And so there's probably hacks in there. There's probably ugly things in there. There's probably things that we wouldn't want to do in an officially supported Bindist kind of thing.
yeah,
So don't treat that as gospel. Treat that as something I cobbled together that seems to work usually, and I update it
yeah.
every once in a
I think one thing that I will end up needing is a sort of specification of like what is it that we actually want to like.
while. Yeah,
What is it that we want to work? If you
right.
install,
And,
like if we
and
have a .deb and we install it, what do we expect to work? What do we not expect to work?
yes,
Like there's probably I mean, I know some of the tests require running the test as sudo because it's setting up network
virtual Ethernet.
namespaces and stuff
Yep.
just straight into the host system. And I'm pretty sure like that would never be supported. I mean, I mean, you can run it on your own as a user, but it wouldn't be something that you want in any sort of um,
Yeah.
automated test suite somewhere.
So I think a brief summary of something that would be nice to get to, and I think Fabian's mentioned this before, is we have this tutorials repository.
Ah, yeah,
And it has basically, I mean, it's been used at a few public events, sort of introducing people to P4 for the first time, basically to create, a virtual machine image that runs on VirtualBox or, other virtual machine software. It doesn't have to be VirtualBox or virtual machine software, but that's what it's been used in the past, to basically give people a pre-installed set of software that can compile some simple demo P4 programs, run them on the BMV2 or simple switch software switch, and then allow you to have a Python library that lets uh, you can write Python controller programs uh, that basically communicate with the switch and control it, configure it to add table entries and read counters and things like that. So that's where the minimum level of Python support comes in, is whatever Python libraries are needed as a controller program to communicate with the software switch while it's to configure it and read status from it. And that
Okay.
probably requires at least like the P4 runtime Python library, and which is another repository. And it might be one or two others that I'm not thinking of right now. But one thing I do know is that that long bash script I gave you installs at least that Python package in a pip in a Python virtual environment, and it installs several others that might only be needed to run P4C tests because I wanted to be able to run P4C tests as well. So it might install more Python packages than minimum necessary to run the tutorials, but it's not like 10 times as many as it needs. It's like maybe 2 or 3 times as many as it needs for that tutorials repository. But it also enables the P4C test to run with whatever Python packages they need. So it's not very many, like the full set of Python packages when I create a virtual environment is maybe it's under a gigabyte. It's probably like half a gigabyte of Python packages installed. Maybe it's way less than that. I'm forgetting how much. Maybe it's only 100 megabytes. But it's not terribly big nor terribly small. Um, but it covers a lot of ground in the open source P4 world.
Okay.
And yeah, like I say, just I switched it over to virtual environments a couple of years ago just because Ubuntu 24.04 was starting to make it really painful to do the sudo pip install.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to
Yeah.
fight that.
Well, that would be, yeah. I
Going
can't
with the
argue with that.
going with the virtual environment was kind of the recommended way to go, and I just had never done it before, so I bit the bullet and did it. It
Yeah.
wasn't
No,
bad.
I think that's the right way to go for sure.
And
So,
so I don't know. So I
like,
have no idea. I suspect, like if you do sudo apt-get install on a package, typically I don't think that creates a Python virtual environment and installs stuff in it. At least I don't
yeah,
think that
no,
would be
yeah. So it sounds like, yeah, there would be sort of multiple steps,
Yeah.
and we sort of want to have multiple targets for those different steps. Like maybe there's just I mean, we could have multiple different Debian packages, for example, but
Mhm.
certainly there's going to be one that installs the compiler and whatever
Yeah.
like object level, C level stuff it needs.
Yeah. So the
Uh,
compiler and then the
library
BMP2
level.
software switch would be a separate, could ideally probably be a separate package that you could independently version and upgrade.
Mm.
As far as
Yeah, and
binaries,
then
I can't think of any other major ones. Just those two as like Debian packages or some bin dist would be nice. And then
yeah,
maybe a little script that like creates the virtual environment and installs whatever needed to make those things work.
yeah. And I mean, I don't know like how what's the state of like publishing the Python packages
Oh,
to a place that people can install them.
so P4 runtime Python package has a updated within the last month package on the pypy.org site that you can pip install without needing to like touch the GitHub repo if you don't want to.
Hmm.
So that one's like the most greased, path. There might be some other Python packages like one called PTF for Packet Test Framework that might not have a PyPy package. You might have to like install it from the GitHub repo.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah. So like, I think it would be ideal if you could get most of the way there with like installing some Debs and then setting up a virtual
Yep.
environment with things that you could just pull from PyPy. Um,
Yep. Yep. And I think
that's
we can
like
get
sort of the big
I think
picture
we can
goal.
get most of the way there with that, with maybe one or two exceptions on some things that we either create PyPy packages for ones we don't already, or just, there's a way to do pip install from a GitHub repo from source as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
All right. That's a lot of shop talk, but thanks for bearing with
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Hope that's okay. Sorry, people.
But I figure I'd take advantage of the fact that you're here and I can dump a lot of details on you quick.
Yeah, I know. I think it's definitely good for me.
And feel free to email me if you have any questions on any, like I say, any of that stuff. But yeah, Despite the fact that I'll point you at that script, I will fully admit that it's a mess and
No,
not
that's
remember
fine.
this in the example.
Sure, it's full of useful nuggets.
It's
Yeah,
like
I
any
understand.
1,000-line bash program that's been cobbled together over and maintained over 8 years. It's a mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it does work, and I keep it working by updating it a couple times a year.
What's the saying? Like, working code is more important than up-to-date documentation, all that stuff. They're both important. One is more important than the other.
Yep. Okay. Let's see. I can't think of, unless there's any other topics, folks have.
I put everything in the
That might
chat.
be. Oh, I see, David, you sent on some links. So you have Torsten Huffler is the professor,
Yes. And this is the video and
and
the
you've got a YouTube video to some talk they've given.
publication.
Oh, sorry. I will, and then you've got a link to a paper. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That basically is a sort of wrap up of the Ultra Ethernet spec.
Good. Yep. No, that's not something I've
Summary,
followed.
let's say.
That's not something I've followed in detail. So any good summary of that is useful to know.
Mm.
Keep catching up with what, 4 or 5? It's probably going in 4 years now. I think that group's been around and working. Getting close to that, 3 or 4 years. All right. Anything else anyone like to add? All right. Well, I think the next meeting of the TST will be, with the governance board live in person, mostly in person at least, during the week of the P4 workshop. So look forward to see the TST members there. And I guess this, Michelle, this one might be not open to the public this time because of the governance board interaction. I don't know.
It's just a joint meeting between the governing board and the TST.
Yep.
And it's in person, there's no Zoom. So
Okay.
it's just governing board and TST members. The regularly scheduled P4 TST meeting, I think is still on the calendar for November
Beginning of
7th.
November.
And that'll
Okay.
be the regular one.
And we can update folks in the public there with whatever we can talk about from that joint meeting.
Yeah, the joint meeting's just really opportunity for some FaceTime and to kind of talk about some of the strategic long-term goals of the project. So
Yep.
we can certainly probably share some of the conclusions after that meeting at this meeting as well.
Great. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. Hope to see you next time, and
Bye. See ya.
have a good day.